Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Carrow Road. It was the one before the one that's next here this evening. Norwich City beating Sheffield Wednesday by 3-1 to mean it is now 13 points in 10 games. It's 6 games, sorry. It is a little bit of form that Norwich City have found just before the East Anglian derby, and even though their performances maybe haven't been convincing in some of those points accrued, this was very much a commanding, convincing win for Norwich City, with some bits in the middle which made it maybe a little bit more difficult than it needed to be. They didn't quite make it as easy as this could have been for Norwich, but all in all, 3-1, a really good night of work for David Wagner's side. I spoke about the form there, given the situation that they were in before that Cardiff game, with how poor they were performing, how badly the results were going. The upturn in results has been really, really good. And actually, for all of the stick that David Wagner has got and players have got, there needs to be some credit given for the points and the stabilisation, I guess, of their season. Because at one point, it did seriously look like they may be sort of sinking down the table. Those fears have certainly been allied now for the moment. That's obviously been helped partially by injured players coming back, the likes of Ashley Barnes. There are others as well. There have been other kind of impacts. I think Norwich City have got a lot stronger in transition, in controlling kind of the defensive transitions. They're not quite as open when they give away the ball. They've been a little bit better in possession. There's been lots of factors and facets. Coming into these two home games, I was very open. I said I felt Norwich City needed 6 points. That would have been top marks. I think 4 points was probably about par, and anything below that would have been under, or above par in golf, but below par. So I think they've done what they needed to do. 4 points in terms of these two games is very productive heading into obviously the game on Saturday. Let's deconstruct this game because it was a little bit bonkers at times, but Norwich City have come out of it with 3 points. Good to see Borja Sainz handed his first start. More on him in a moment. John Rowe as well. Callum Fisher started ahead of Jack Stacey, and that was designed, I think, to give Norwich City a little bit more in the way of creativity, which they lacked on Saturday. And what Borja Sainz provides, what John Rowe provides, is real individual quality, moments of individual brilliance that can open games up and that can prevent maybe teams from coming here and camping in the way that Preston did. Really interesting that David Wagner elected for this game to throw Borja Sainz in. I think there's been opportunities in others, but given the opposition, given the need I felt for Norwich City to create chances, it was really positive to see him in from the start. And then in the 12th minute, when he takes the ball, turns and sticks it in the top corner, everyone's kind of sat here going, well, why hasn't that happened sooner? And why hasn't he started sooner? But I think it's an injection of what he gives them. And we saw it again tonight. Pace, really good in kind of tight spaces, willing to take the ball. I think he's a little bit imperfect with how he wants to play and where he wants to play, and certainly there are some defensive issues, although I felt he was a lot better on that front than has been the case when we've seen him. Goal and assist on his first start is an excellent return, and he certainly made his case pretty strongly ahead of Saturday. And it was really, really good to see a Norwich player take a ball on a half turn, spin and get a shot away quickly, and that early on kind of opened up the game. And Sheffield Wednesday, I felt from there, got their press right. I thought they came and sat quite a high block on Norwich City. It was reminded me a little bit of what Rotherham did in the away game when they got a lot of joy out of Norwich. And Norwich, it was really strange. Norwich's movement kind of stopped. They were trying to play out from the back, but they had players who weren't dropping into space. They weren't stretching them in behind. So there were long balls that were going that were just kind of being overhit, and they weren't able to maybe break the lines. That allowed Sheffield Wednesday to just continuously plonk this high block on them, and they weren't really able to figure that out. There were a couple of opportunities where they played the ball quite high, and it just got a little bit laboured and a little bit messy again. And in that period, after Norwich City's goal, Sheffield Wednesday were the better side, and they had a lot more of the play, and between the boxes were a lot more effective. That being said, Norwich did have chances to make it 2-0. Both really from Ashley Barnes. The first one, you knew, was a brilliant slide cross into the area. He did as well to set Barnes up, opens up his body and just puts too much on the shot, really, and it comes off the bar. And then the second one, where Sarah slots him through, it might have been the other way around, but Sarah slots him through. He beats one defender, almost does the hard bit. He just needs to put a little bit on the shot just to lift it over the goalkeeper and in the net, and he just gets too much, just cuts underneath it too much, and it goes under the bar. It goes over the bar, sorry, and it was really frustrating, I think, to see those opportunities missed, because that would have killed the game off pretty early on. Instead, it invited Sheffield Wednesday to come and, I guess, make the most of what that pressure that they were building a little bit. And it felt like if they were going to score, it was going to be set pieces. They had a flurry of them before their goal. Diaby in particular, aerially, was a real threat. There was a free header that Gunn saved. Ihekwa had an opportunity as well. There were opportunities that they had from set pieces, and the long throw comes, and I think David Wagner has spoken about it, the nature of the team that Norwich City picked, which is, and it's always kind of pros and cons and risks and rewards to everything. But when you play the team that Norwich City did tonight in order to favour creativity, you know that you lose some physicality as a result of that. And they didn't deal with set pieces maybe in the way that they have done in recent games. And it's a relatively simple routine. Vaux with a long throw, flick on, I think it was by Diaby possibly, and then Kadamari at the back post, and Fisher just got caught with two men, and he was able to nod the ball home, and it's 1-1, and it all gets a bit panicky again and a bit fraught again. But actually, I felt Norwich they started and finished the half pretty well. They just got a little bit lost in the middle, mainly because of their ineffective movement and players not quite supporting and recognising space, and recognising when to drop and recognising when to go deeper in order for Norwich to progress the ball up the pitch. And they got a little bit stuck, in truth, and it maybe forced them into some passes that weren't on, because they were trying to kind of force the issue a little bit, and they were just getting a little bit caught with that. And in the second half, I think we saw a real improvement. They came out really intense. Even kind of the first minute was Dimi Yunu's slinging a ball into the box. The goal comes from a turnover. Norwich then break. This is where Norwich are at their best, really. I think we've seen this all season. Gabriel Sara slotting Borja Sainz in behind, and it's a lovely ball with the outside of his foot onto a plate for Ashley Barnes, who perseverance pays off, got his goal, and it was a good finish. He did really well to kind of get himself in that position. And I've spoken to him after as well, and as he said, you need to get yourself in positions to miss chances as a striker. And actually, if you do miss chances, it can be really difficult to then score the next one. I think his experience, his attitude in the game, his spell over a long period of time allows him to miss chances and kind of shake them off. So that was good, and it was a good finish. And then Norwich go and kill the game. Yunulis with a deep ball into the area. John Rowe with the header. No idea how he's squeezed it in between a gap that Dawson and the post, and he's managed to squeeze it in there, and that was 3-1. And maybe that spell in the middle of the first half, maybe that was encapsulated most by what led to Norwich City conceding the goal on that long throw, which was a switch of play from Shane Duffy that just wasn't on. And I felt for Callum Fisher, actually, because there's so much to like about him. And I've said this since pre-season, that he's such a good young player, but he just got caught with two men. Not his fault. It was what Norwich did structurally ahead of him, and that was pretty frustrating. I think for him more than anything. And again, it's a difficult environment to be dropped in. He's a young player. He's come from non-league. It's such a big jump that he's had to make, and he's done it so well. And to be in the position that he's in, so good. And yeah, I hope his confidence isn't knocked too much by being taken off, because there's a brilliant young player in there, and he's raw, and there's some bits to kind of finesse, but the talent is undoubtedly there. And I hope he maybe doesn't get too disheartened by being brought off at half time, because he certainly shouldn't. The strides he's taken this season is remarkable. I was a little bit so Norwich then go and score the third, as I said, and the game gets a bit bonkers. The referee goes off because of an issue with his tech. We have 10 minutes added on time. Norwich make a flurry of substitutes. Gabriel Sara comes off, Adam Ida comes off, obviously with an eye to Saturday, which I'll speak about in a moment. But they did there was no control in the way they finished the game, and Sheffield Wednesday were able to. They did defend their box quite well, I thought. I think Fletcher flicked a header wide, and that was it. But I think it was just a case of the changes maybe disrupted them a little bit. They looked a little bit fatigued. And what I would say on Sheffield Wednesday as well is, I thought the first half they were so intense. They had such an intensity. And in the second half, that dropped, and that was quite noticeable. I think it allowed Norwich to really gain control of the game and go and kill it in the way that they could have done in the first half. And with goals for Sainz, Rowe, Barnes, I think that's immensely positive as we looked ahead to Saturday. So I I think you can look past what was a pretty scruffy end, but ultimately Norwich saw it out and as I said, defended their box quite well, brought Danny Bart on, dealt with those longer balls into the area and long throws, so that was good. And actually in the second half corrected a lot of the issues that I spoke about with movement. So David Wagner and his coaching team deserve credit for recognising that as a problem and kind of addressing that in game and not even necessarily through substitutes. So that was good. And this was a comfortable night. Could it have been more comfortable? Yes. Were there issues at points? Yes. But Norwich deserved to win the game. It was a good performance. I think that's the best I've seen them play here, certainly for a while. And obviously recognise the calibre of opponents. But Danny Roll has got Sheffield Wednesday. I think we saw that in that glimpse in the middle portion of the first half. Got them pretty well drilled. I think they're in a really difficult position now to stay up because of the situation that he inherited, but you can hear it and see it amongst those Sheffield Wednesday fans. There's a lot more optimism and positivity, and so there should be, because he's 34 years old, I think it is, youngest coach in the EFL, and he's done a pretty remarkable job really to, if he can, kind of close that gap. And they've got QPR on Saturday, then he's done a remarkable job to get them to a position where, again, they look functioning tonight, and they look pretty impressive after what Xisco Muñoz oversaw earlier on in the season, which wasn't great. So let's look ahead to Saturday then. It's an East Anglian derby. Look, it's going to be really tough for Norwich, and it would have been really tough irrespective of how this game transpired. And that's because Ipswich are good, and they're very good. And nobody should sleep on quite how good they are. That being said, again, you have to look at the block of games and some of the issues that Norwich City corrected. Not all of them are corrected. There are still some issues within this team. But I think they're in a position to go and really be competitive and put a good account of themselves. It's going to be really difficult. It means so much. It's been such a long time, 12 games, 14 years. And Kieran McKenna has got a fantastically coached team there. For me, I'm really intrigued to see how David Wagner sets his team up, because I think there's pros and cons for going there and being quite pragmatic and quite reserved and trying to hit them in transition. Where they do leave spaces, particularly behind Leif Davis on the left side, Norwich is right, and in other positions as well, because they are so aggressive with how they position their players. And again, there's arguments for going there and going toe to toe with them, but not quite sure what you do, and that's what we'll debate and discuss in the next two games. But what this win does, I think, is mean, as I said, Norwich City go into that game 4 points from two home games. Imperfect, yes, but certainly par, I think, and with a much improved performance tonight. Optimism, hopefully, in supporters, and they get closer to Derby Day and that 12:30 kickoff. I'm sure that the fans will grow in confidence. And Norwich are the underdogs heading into that derby. I think there's an element of expectation externally. I'm not talking about inside this place, externally and in Suffolk, that Ipswich are going to beat them. And it doesn't have to be the foregone conclusion that I think a lot of people think it does. But is it going to be immensely difficult? Yes. And that's because of how good Ipswich Town are at this moment in time, and their genuine promotion, if not title contenders. They're 10 points from Leeds in third. Them and Leicester have made the best starts in the first 20 games ever, really. So it is going to be immensely difficult, and everyone knows that. But as we say, derbies are so unique, and if Norwich can go there, stay in the game, make it competitive, then they can give Ipswich some real problems and some real headaches. And you've got players like Borja Sainz. It's going to be really interesting what David Wagner does with him now. I think he should go and start him, go and be brave, go and chase it. We'll see what that brings. Look, we're going to do so much kind of East Anglian derby pre-content. We're going to do a podcast and all those various things. And obviously we'll be at Portman Road, and it's going to be fascinating to see how that all transpires. So thank you very much for watching, for listening. Pinkin.com, the place to go. We've got a special December sale on at this moment in time as well. Norwich City deserved winners here tonight over Sheffield Wednesday 3-1, and all eyes now on Portman Road and the derby. Thanks for watching.